The retro gaming market is huge, and I want to capitalise on it. But in order to stand out these days, you have to stand out, which is why I've created my new business idea, where we use time travel to go back in time and play old video games. Now I need to invent time travel. Ever since video games have existed, so have re-releases of video games, whether that's releasing arcade games on the NES with things like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, or compilations of older games on the SNES with things like Super Mario All-Stars. And that is how games were re-released all the way through up to the GameCube. And then we get to the Wii, where it gets quite interesting. Because obviously not only could the Wii play Wii and GameCube games through backwards compatibility, but it could also play virtual console games, which meant it had the access to libraries of NES, SNES, and N64, which meant you could play every single of Nintendo's home consoles on one system. On top of that, you could also play arcade games through Virtual Console Arcade, and Commodore 64, Neo Geo, Sega Master System, and Sega Mega Drive games. This all made the Wii the place to play retro titles. Like, imagine all of these great systems and games shoved into one big ball of fun, and you have the Wii Virtual Console. And the Wii U is in the trash. But by far, out of all of the systems supported by the Wii Virtual Console, the one with the most games re-released was the NES. Now, at the time, this was great, since there was a lot more nostalgia in those days for the NES back in the early 2000s. But nowadays, the nostalgia for the NES has died down, because anyone who is nostalgic about those consoles and played the games when they were younger has already grown up and got nostalgic and replayed those games. All the nostalgia these days is for N64 and GameCube games, which is why it is so much more insulting when Nintendo just refuses to re-release them. In my opinion, the Virtual Console peaked with the Wii, seeing as you had access to all of Nintendo's home consoles, and a bucket load of games from a load of classic systems. And when Nintendo tried to recreate that magic on other systems, they failed. Take the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console, which tried to more heavily to focus on Nintendo's handheld business, with re-releases of games from the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. But apart from that, the 3DS Virtual Console didn't really have anything apart from the NES and Sega Game Gear. And Sega Game Gear, it's good to have them there, but no one really cares about it. Meaning you only really have Game Boy Color, and NES games. And NES games are already available on the Wii, and if you have a 3DS, you almost definitely had a Wii or a Wii U, so you could get NES games. Hell, this thing didn't even have SNES games, because the 3DS's CPU can't handle it. That is embarrassing. Fuck you, Nintendo. Crap. In fact, for the 3DS Virtual Console, focusing on the handheld market, it didn't even have Game Boy Advance games. Instead, they put them on the Wii U Virtual Console. Yeah, that's right. Fuck you, Nintendo. God damn it. In fact, even though the 3DS Virtual Console was the one trying to focus on Nintendo's handheld market, it didn't even have Game Boy Advance games. They were saved for the crappy Wii U. Talking of the Wii U Virtual Console, it was quite in-depth, really, even having Nintendo DS games. But the novelty of having all the consoles in one had worn off by the Wii U. And when Nintendo started to slowly trickle out the games once again, no one really cared anymore, because we could already play them all on the Wii and 3DS, and we didn't need this slow trickle of games again. We just wanted them. In fact, the Wii Virtual Console, when it released, didn't even have N64 games on it. So when Nintendo started to re-release the games again in the slow fashion that they did before, it didn't have the impact that they wanted. And that brings us to Nintendo Switch Online, with its own replacement for the Virtual Console, Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online, and Super Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online. They are very easy names to say. Fuck you, God damn it! The fact of the matter is, Nintendo is going to keep releasing NES games and SNES games, because they're the easiest ones to emulate. And because people like me will keep buying them. Well, until I start my business, because then we're going to be able to go back in time. It won't be that hard, will it? I just need to invent time travel. All it is time, but broken. So I just need to figure out a way to break time. Huh. Guys, 2020 gets worse. They reveal the Wii U 2.